that he offered me prior to this. Like because it was early on, he would talk to me and he'd say, "You think I care about this kid? I know who wrote it because he had me write the music for games out.
For
Like
the yeah.
I sat with him. He had me come out and he was like, "Yo, you played Games Records because they had been in the studio for recording studio with Dre for a year already. So it's already like 1.5 million in budgets over there from recording and being in recording and flying producers in and out, creating stuff, doing things, right? And I listened to the record. I say, yo, he's a dope rapper. He's not a good songwriter yet.
You're talking about the game
Yeah.
when you were putting on. Well, and you know, you're
And
very
then,
blunt in the book. You talk about certain artists, like you definitely address Lloyd Banks, Tony Yayo, some of the G Unit crew.
yeah,
You don't talk about the game much. People watching probably who follow you
yeah,
see
yeah. That
them
this is
all the
not
time.
even in the book. This is not in the book. I just
Yeah,
want to explain to you why I said those things because when like after the fact, James blossomed into who he is now, and it's cool to watch. Like as soon as we actually like he reached out and we talked and stuff like that, I was like, nah, I don't care. There's no ill will involved,
right.
right? But
Which you
there's
do it
a
in the game now,
yeah, none.
because at the
So
time it was like there was obviously arguments, and
yeah,
it was
yeah, we had
public, people remember, and then you also then, and you, the theme is in the book too, where you you in the book you demand that people achieve the level of maturity and judgment that you did fast
mhm,
and young,
yeah,
but not everyone's capable of that. I mean, for one thing, oh, Mark Hanton in there, shout out to Mark Hanton, I know you work with him.
super producer.
um
He be producing everything.
but 50, like, the question then is, for someone reading the book who's trying to figure out how to apply lessons, it's like the game was making at the time, as you put it, you know, some of the mistakes were business mistakes,
Right.
like picking fights with certain DJs that you guys needed to work with, and it was like, why do that? Or you
Yeah,
talk about other artists here that just didn't appreciate how you put them on. So, one question I have for you, for people watching here, is how do you apply that? How do you apply
you
finding
know,
maturity?
I think that's the way. Look, the way I was raised put that in me. Like I don't forget what you do. If a person do something for me, I'm like, yo, nah, that's like I kind of owe him. Regardlessly, I feel that way. Like this is why you never hear me have anything negative to say about him
Eminem.
or Dre, because the opportunity wasn't there without them being there. Like at that point, he was selling 22 million copies on Marshall Mathers LP. You know what people want to do when you sell 22 million? Whatever you want to do. That's what the fuck they want to do. In the music business, you sell 22 million copies, and everybody wants to do what you want to do. Trust that. And that's how that came together that way. And you look, it went for me. Even Dre, I told Dre in the studio. I said, "Yo, Jimmy don't like me." He said, "Why you say that?" I said, "Because he said it to me." He said, "He said it."
Jimmy Iovine said that to you?
Yeah, he did. He did. Now
He
look,
didn't
when we
like
was,
you, or he didn't like the risk factor of what might be around you?
he just didn't like. He didn't. I don't, at that point, he didn't like me. He was feeling like I was a direct competitor and could be a problem for Beats. Because his new priority was Beats, and it was like, here's your here's the perfect example. I'll show you right now. Look.
Show and tell.
Here's your recording budget. Now look, here's your recording budget. Here's your recording budget if you put beats in it. You see what I'm saying? So it's
Yeah.
like you could here, give me that piece and tell them here, put this, and you get this if you put beats in it. This is why everyone had it. And then it shows you how anything that look cocaine, right? When it's cool enough for the bathroom and the hot party in Hollywood, anything that's cool enough for the celebrities is gonna be cool enough for the masses. It's testing and proven. Cocaine was cooler there
Mm.
before it became acceptable and cool everywhere. And that's why it was a point where cocaine was marijuana. It was that cool, and then it was like because it was an expensive drug, it, and a functional drug. It wasn't as addictive as it in its purest form as in crack. So people were functioning addicts and doing it. That was a whole different vibe. But it started. That product placement started in the bathroom at those hot parties in Hollywood. Richard Pryor, the top that would be our Kevin Hart right now, the hottest person
Right.
in comedy at that point. His set was about how high he was
Right.
from, you know what I'm saying? Like everything was, it was all like all the way around the circle there. Now, if you said later, I said I just when I got the star on the Walk of Fame in Hollywood,
Yep.
I when I got there, I wasn't excited about art. Like the award shows, I
Come
haven't
on.
got
Wait,
excited
wait, wait.
about awards.
You're not excited to get the star? That's a
I'm a,
big deal. No matter, even like big A-listers come out for this star.
in the beginning, I'm going, nah, yeah, yeah, it's cool. You know, and then when the day of, when everybody's there,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh shit, like everybody's there. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like everybody's here. So I'm like, damn, I got a call. Mary called me. Mary J. Blige, she called and congratulated me because she's actually in Power Book 2 on the second book of Power. So she was calling, she texted me, I'm like, yo, I don't know, like I'm nervous. Like I'm never really nervous to go and do anything. She's like,
You felt nervous being up there that day.
that nervous energy. Yeah,
Right.
and I'm like, yo, I don't know why. Because it was M, Dre, everybody was there. Then it was like, as soon as I got on, the first thing I said was I made a mistake. Because the only person who wasn't there was Jimmy. And we still needed the money to make anything happen. And it was him, it was his company, it was the whole way. You know what I'm saying? And I identified with the mistake that I made at that point, and then I talked to him after, you know, because Steve Berman told him right away. You know, everybody that was from the company that was supported the project being a success was there, but Jimmy. You know what I'm saying? And I don't care about, like, I looked at it like the person who doesn't, not Apple, whoever else is interested in you buys SMS after. The same way, like the $80 million that Paul Fineman had laying around was right there for him to give us the big deal with the sneakers. Like that's I'm look from my assessment of it was not that I'm competing with you to be like to against you. I'm just going into the category because it is an easy sell when everybody knows you from selling music. Isn't it organic for you to sell things connected to music,
Sure.
like a headphone? If not, look, SMS is studio mastered sound. That wasn't rocket science for me to come up with that. That was easy. That was like oh yeah, that's and studio master sound. Then I when their interpretation because of the aggression that they seen at points was competitive. Like he's gonna compete with us and it's gonna be a problem. And that wasn't my intentions at all. If I knew that SMS would have made them us not be a team, I would have never did that. I just wouldn't have went in the headphone category.
Hmm.
You see what I'm saying? Like M didn't even touch the headphones. So he made so much money off of the music that there was no reason to touch a headphone. Like he just sat there the whole time. Like
But did anyone know at the time how big that was going to get?
I knew.
How, even though you were successful within music, you said basically you saw that we're
Yeah,
gonna cut into the profits. Same way we just had macro pandemic change people's career
everything.
prospects.
Yeah.
And you write, quote, and obviously you wrote this. I mean, everybody knows this, but you wrote this
Uh-huh.
before the pandemic. But it's,
Uh-huh.
I think people listening right now might think, okay, you write, instead of waiting for the inevitable axe to drop, I I decided to beat Interscope to the punch. You set up a meeting with, and you tell them, quote, you guys aren't in the music business anymore, really. I'll be
No.
better off independent. I'm going to go into movies and television. Television. And Jimmy asks, oh, you want to do both? And you say, it would have been easy to feel, quote, resentful in the moment. Jimmy wasn't my boss. He was my. Now, I could have taken a moment to ask why, despite all that success,
Right.
he hadn't always had my back. Why hadn't he done more to support me? But I was already focused on the future, a future that would find me becoming very involved successfully in film and TV. And you write that he pivoted as well. People know that with Dr. Dre.
Yeah, the beast.
Oh, look, Joe Budden with 3 laughing emojis. Shout out to Joe Budden. And let's get Joe Budden Fitz in here as well if we can. But 50, Walk us through that. You were successful, Jimmy's successful, and yet you
Yeah,
both are pivoting because you couldn't beat necessarily super macro trends that were going to drain music business of profit.
yeah. Like I already created with vitamin water with RBK, like the sneakers, unit clothing. Like we were averaging about 80 million a year in sales with unit clothing. The sneaker business we did. This was Paul Fineman's response to losing the bid war for LeBron James. When you have when LeBron gets 110, there's 80. The competitor that was bidding for it has 80 or 90 around. And then following that, Paul's response was to do lifestyle branding with G-Unit sneakers and Sean Carter and Daddy Yankee and some different things. And we did really well. Like we traveled everywhere. It felt like when the concert was coming, you see a spike in sales and things everywhere we went. And then when Jimmy went to in the Beats, I looked at it like Russell Simmons going into urban clothing. Following Russell Simmons going to urban clothing, you saw Rockaway, Sean John, you saw Apple Bottom, Nelly with Apple Bottom, Willie Esco, Nas. Everybody had something that was in urban clothing because he showed us that it could actually be a big business away from big merchandise being sold. Like it can be an
Right.
actual brand. And then from there, it was cool. Like I didn't look at SMS Audio like it was making me a direct competitor to the company I'm still signed to.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I was in the office talking to Jimmy at that point, I um I had delivered a record with me, Eminem, and Adam Levine. At
Okay.
that point,
Shout out Maroon 5.
at that point, Adam Levine hadn't had a record that wasn't charting number one. Eminem hadn't had a record that wasn't charting number one, and I didn't have issues at radio at that point. The song, like we got to the point at that point, the radio department was telling me, you know, we're gonna have to like they didn't know what to do or what to say to me because they couldn't say anything that would make sense to me, knowing that I know.
Right.
So when I sit and I talk with him, it was really interesting because he felt like that in some ways I think betrayed by me. He was angry with me. What I'm saying? I've done things I wasn't supposed to do the whole way. You know what I mean? Not to Jimmy or not to Dre or to Eminem in any way. You know what I'm saying? But when we came in, it was a lot of street energy around us. You know what I'm saying? There was a lot of things going on. So it was like I had altercations with guys that you don't pick these guys. All right, the guys I had beef with, they got life in the penitentiary for cases, homicides connected. Tell you in that 10 minutes that I sat there, I got him to give me $150,000 right there. As soon as we sat in there, because the first time this Apple did product placement in anything, any music video, was PIMP. You see me get up with
Is
the
that true?
$150,000 again.
But and that was the cameo.
That was what I did. When you saw
That's
me
so
with
interesting. I did that. I had never heard that.
the iPad, that was the first thing. Like
Did
it's
Steve
not
Jobs
like
strike you? Did he strike you as more open-minded than other suits you dealt with?
yeah. Look, he looked at it and was like, he looked at Jimmy. Jimmy said, "Believe it or not, the kid is golden. I don't care whatever he says right now, it's gonna go." And he just went with it. He just gave me $150,000.
That's wild. And Dre was making a full transition then.